I'm Milton from TeamFFLEX. You are my show we do every Monday called Protein Power, where we talk about all things nutrition. Today, we're going to talk about quarantine, I almost couldn't say quarantine, and protein intake, okay? Quarantine protein intake. A lot of people have been asking me about this. I know there's a lot of people wondering, hey, how do I make sure I can still stay on track with my goals? I'm not losing muscle, all that. What's the protein I need? Let's talk about it today, all right? Do me a favor. Please subscribe. Please share. I'm Ryan Milton from TeamFFLEX. You are on Protein Power. I don't even know what day it is, let alone what week it is, let alone what day it has been of quarantine for me. But I know a lot of people are in a lot of different spots right now, doing different things, but most people are still doing the quarantine thing. And with this has been a lot of questions regarding, obviously, training, and as we handle those, you know, we move more towards nutrition, and the fact that people are having a hard time with both, and different challenges come up, and different struggles, and, you know, it's a lot of the same stuff you would see in the gym, but also to a perspective now that it's at home, it's a whole different environment, it's a different thing, right? So, training has had to change, that's had to happen, and now nutrition has had to do that too, and that's been going on, and now these different challenges people are coming up with. One of the questions I got 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, every day last week was, hey, what do you think protein should be right now based on quarantine? Okay, basically based on the fact that everybody on quarantine wants to do at least one of two things. They either want to continue to progress towards their health and fitness goals, or they want to maintain the ones they had till they can get back to the gym. A lot of people in quarantine are definitely not trying to lose their goals or, you know, their results right now, as this is where we sit. And so I have basically been saying this 5,000 times a day, and I said, all right, let's talk about it today on the show and give you a breakdown. What you got to understand about your protein intake, it is a pretty much, you know, it's one of the essential nutrients, basically, just like carbs, fats, all this. It's, you know, one of the macronutrients, one of the big nutrients that you want to have, especially as a person trying to do stuff with a fitness goal. If you're a bodybuilder, you gotta have it. You're a bikini competitor, you gotta have it. If you're someone trying to lose weight, you gotta have it. If you're trying to build muscle, you gotta have it. Protein's a big deal. When it comes to actually building muscle and all that, it is important that you have the right amount of protein intake. Guess what? Same thing happens if you're trying to lose fat. Guess what? Same thing happens if you're a competitor. You got to have the right amount to help you accelerate your goals. When it comes to actual muscle preservation now, we're talking about the fact that, hey, you're dieting down. People have been asking me that we're at home trying to still lose weight, and some people gained a couple pounds during quarantine and want to cut it off, but they're worried if they start a caloric deficit that they're going to actually burn muscle. Well, one way you can do this to prevent that is to make sure your protein intake is high enough. You always want to be, what I say, you know, it's kind of been the gold rule since the dawn of time, although it wasn't scientifically backed when Arnold came up with all this stuff. It was Arnold era bodybuilders saying, hey, you know what, it's 1 gram per pound of body weight. And, you know, in science we see basically it's 1.2 grams to 1.7 per kg of body weight. But at the end of the day, it's a safe bet to say, okay, get 1 gram per pound of body weight, at least to start. Now, when you're in a muscle preservation state, when you're in a point where you're trying to maintain, you don't want to burn, you know, your muscle off when you're in a caloric deficit, maybe doing cardio workouts, things like that. Now, what you want to do is probably elevate that protein just a little bit. Because here's the thing, people don't understand this, but it is true. We do not utilize every single bit of protein we eat, okay? Protein that we count on a macro, on a chicken breast, whatever we eat it, we're actually going to net a lower amount after the digestive process and all that has occurred. Cooking affects it. Things like this will affect the nutrient breakdown. So even though your chicken breast says it's 24 grams of protein per whatever amount of ounces, if you eat it, it's actually probably lower. It could be around 16, 15, somewhere in there, depending on the quality, all this stuff, how you cooked it, everything, and your obvious own digestive processes. So what you got to think about is, even if you do 1 gram per pound of body weight, you're actually going to be lower than what you need in the first place, okay? So having a little bit of extra protein in times where you're at a deficit and you're concerned about burning muscle, you know, things like that, or maybe you're not training as hard. I know a lot of people are worried about that, but the funny thing is even if you're not training as hard, as long as you're getting your nutrition right, you're going to pretty much preserve a lot of muscle. I mean, it's very hard to actually lose muscle if you continue to work out, even if it's not, you know, your normal intensity with heavy weights and machines and all that you get at the gym. You continue to apply supply stimulus to the body, you're hitting the muscles, you're hitting the, the movement patterns, you keep eating right, you're going to be able to preserve a lot of your results and also continue to get them, right? I've talked about on this channel before that, studies show it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of zero activity basically to really start seeing a significant amount of muscle and strength loss. So when we start to talk about your protein intake, I'm going to give you 2 breakdown simple rules right here. At least 1 gram per pound of body weight for those of you out there just trying to maintain. Higher if you are a person that is in a caloric deficit. And this is what I do all the time. This doesn't really have to do with quarantine. As a coach with the hundreds and the thousands of people I've worked with over the years, from competitors to people trying to lose weight to people trying to build muscle, I know that, hey, when we go into a cut down phase, as a competitor goes into a prep and they're cutting down, I'm bringing protein up as we go. And I do the same thing with people trying to lose weight. And you might say, well, why? But protein's thermodynamic, right? It actually helps you burn more calories at rest. It's actually better for fat loss to have higher amounts of protein. And it's also better for muscle preservation to have higher amounts of protein when we're in a caloric deficit type space. So I'm raising protein all the time when we're talking about dieting down, losing weight, all that. Because I want people to preserve their muscle, even though it's not something that's easily burnt. I want them to preserve it to the highest degree, and I want them to get the extra fat burning effect from having higher protein, okay? So while you're out here on quarantine, a lot of you are worried about your muscle loss. Juice up your protein just a little bit, all right? Juice it up just a little bit more. Make sure you're at 1 gram per pound per pound of body weight at least. And then maybe add 5, 10, 15 grams on top of that. Set your macros up right, and you're going to be good. Now, just because I'm saying add in more protein does not mean that should go over on top of all your other calories, okay? Calories are still king and queen over all this. We got to keep these calories in the right spot. Whatever goal you got, don't be adding in more protein thinking you're doing yourself a favor if you're actually eating in a caloric surplus because of added protein, right? Make sure that you still adjust your macros, your carbs, your fats, all that, to fit the higher amount of protein. So you might have to drop your carbs back. Might need to drop your fats back if the protein's coming up, etc. Whatever macros you got, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how to do that, but make sure you hit the right caloric goal for your goals all the time. That's key no matter what. If you're going to juice up that protein intake, no big deal, but make sure you adjust the other macros to fit that. 1, 2, 3! Needs help, I'm going to strongly suggest you go to my free trial, TeamFFLEX.com. You'll get a pop-up, drop your email in. Free trial. We'll help you with anything you need. Quarantine workouts, quarantine nutrition, mindset, whatever it is, it's free for 7 days. We're doing it for everybody. We do this as value add to give back, something we want to help people with. Go to the website, you can check it out. You get access into our exclusive VIP private coaching app where we're going to show you exactly the experience we give all of our clients, all of our athletes, all of our successful transformations and our pros and everything else. The stuff that we do with them, we can do with you too, and it's free. It's totally, honestly, if you are a person that's worried about losing your gains, you're a person worried about any of this right now during quarantine, you should seriously head over there because we're going to be able to help you do a lot better even with just 7 days of coaching, all right? Gives you something to take with you, and that's super powerful. Thanks for watching Protein Power. I'm Ryan Milton from TeamFFLEX. I ask you one favor. If you got anything out of this, share it for me, okay? Just blast it out. Boom, share it. And then subscribe to the channel. I'll see you back tomorrow, Iron Palace, where we talk about everything you're training. I'm Ryan Milton from TeamFFLEX. Thanks for watching Protein Power.